Let me ask you a question. If you were to turn this texture right here into a pattern, what would be the issue? Can you tell? Well, let us get a preview of this by simply going to View and then Pattern Preview. This gives you a preview of the pattern before even turning it into a pattern. Just hit OK, that's fine. And right now we can clearly tell that this is a terrible pattern. And how can we say that? We can say that as we can clearly see the edge between the two images. Or in other words, we can see the line between the two images. Now, what is the line called? A line which joins two things? It's called seam. And what do we want to make here? We want to make a seamless pattern, and that's what we mean by that. A seamless pattern is a pattern where you just cannot tell where the edge is. And how do we make that? That's what the video is all about. And also, we're going to take a look at a simple application too. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now you can make it seamless directly inside of Pattern Preview. You can go to any part of the pattern, make a selection of something that doesn't feel right, and appropriately, inside of the image, those areas would be selected, and then you can fill those areas. However, still there are certain tools that just don't work properly inside of Pattern Preview. So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. So let's go back to How to Us, start afresh, and turn off Pattern Preview by going to View and then Pattern Preview. Press Ctrl or Command 0 to fit the canvas to the screen. Now simply go to Filter, Other, and then Offset. Now play with the horizontal and vertical values, but before you do, you want to make sure wraparound is turned on. And just check preview. Simply increase the horizontal so that the edges are offset towards the center, both horizontal and vertical. Let's start with horizontal. Right now, as you can see, the edge right here is around the center. That's fine. We can leave it at that. Let's play with the vertical right now. There you go. The edge is around the center. This is the edge, I guess. So let us zoom in and check. Yes, we got the edge around here. Now we need to remove this edge. How do we do that? First of all, hit OK. There are a couple of techniques you can use. You can use the remove tool. You can use the content-aware fill. You can use generative fill. That is up to you. For the first attempt, let us select the lasso tool right here and make a selection of all of the edge areas at once. That is best. You don't have to be very accurate, just select more and less, be a little random right here. Now we need to select this edge as well. So hold the Shift key to turn it into Lasso Plus. Now it's going to add to that selection. Now let's go to Edit and then Content Aware Fill. Well, it doesn't do a pretty good job, doesn't join the lines. So we're going to try a little bit of rotation. Does it fix that? Well, not really. Let's hit Cancel. Now, before we go ahead and try generative fill, which we know is going to work, I recommend trying content-aware fill. With simpler textures, it just works. And it's better in a way that it takes the existing elements. Also, it maintains the resolution. Once you have made a selection with the lasso tool, you can just go to Window, make sure Contextual Taskbar is open, and in here, click on Generative Fill and just generate. You can type whatever you want, but blank is fine for this example. Now, Generative Fill already does a fantastic job, and we knew that. Here's the first one, second one, and third one. I think we can go with the second one, but the only problem is the resolution. As soon as you zoom in, have a look, here's the original resolution, and here's the one generated with Generative Fill, and it is terrible. Similarly, right here, take a look. Here is the original one, and here is the generated one. So how do we fix it? The idea is to generate one by one, little by little. So instead of having the entire selection, do little by little. With the lasso tool, do just this area. Then after you have done that, do this area, slowly and gradually doing it. Or if you are using the PiXimperfect compositing plugin, you have an advantage. By the way, this feature inside the plugin is absolutely free. Once you have this selection, all you need to do is to open up the PiXimperfect compositing plugin. Installation instructions, download link, and everything will be in the description. Keep in mind, this feature, High-Res Gen Fill, is a free feature. Just open up the High-Res Gen Fill section, and once you have that selection, you can choose the box size. Let's keep it at 500 and click on this button right here. It will simply fill boxes of 500 by 500 pixels one at a time, thus giving it the highest resolution possible. So even if you zoom in, here's the filled area, here's the original area. Definitely not as good as the original one, but still so much better than before. Have a look at it. Now in here, I do recommend working on certain areas. For example, this area looks a bit odd, so I'm going to make a selection independently right there and just fill that area. Better than before. And then you can use something like the remove tool. Simply create a new layer, and then you want to make sure sample all layers is checked. Check remove after each stroke, And if there are certain lines that look odd, you can remove them. Any other thing that looks odd? Maybe this groove right there. So let's loop around it and it's gone. Now it is time for us to inspect it with pattern preview. But before we do that, with the topmost layer selected, press Ctrl, Alt, Shift and E to create a stamp visible layer, a merged layer of everything on the canvas. Now let's go to View, Pattern Preview. Hit OK. Now again, I recommend offsetting it, and this time since pattern preview is on, it will happen automatically. Select the move tool and then just move it around, just offset it. Alright, and now let's look for issues. Look for issues in the edge. So here we can notice a minor issue. Simply make a selection around it, like so, and you can fill it with generative fill. So let's go to Window, you want to make sure you have contextual taskbar right here. Let's try generative fill, generate. You can also try the remove tool, the content aware fill, it is up to you. And it works perfectly fine. Let's go with the first one. Closely looking at it for a while, I found one more. There you go. So let's make a selection around it. Repeat the same process. Generative fill, generate. First one, second one, third one. Let's go with the second one and we can definitely turn this into a pattern. But before you do, please, I request this. Even if you cannot see the edges when you zoom in, there might be some repeating patterns which you might have to fix when you zoom out. Now, this is what makes a pattern really great, and that when you zoom out even a lot, you cannot tell that it's a pattern. But right now, I can tell because there's this dark patch right here. So how do we fix that? First of all, zoom out a lot, and then create a blank new layer. We will simply dodge and burn. Change the blend mode of this layer from normal to soft light, and let us name it dodge and burn. Take the brush, decrease the flow to around 1 or 2% and just paint with white or black to dodge or burn. In other words, to brighten or darken. You want to make sure you have a soft round brush, select that, and I'm just going to paint on this area. Paint on any one of these areas, it will be repeated in all of the patterns. For example, if I painted here, see it's repeated all throughout. Let's go back, that was too much. Flow at 1% and just paint. Zoom out a little more. Now I can see that these areas are dark, so we can paint broadly over them. You can also paint black in areas which you think is brighter. Press X to toggle between the foreground and the background color. Now it actually looks pretty darn equal. You want to have a look at the before and after. So here's the before. You can see all the patches here and there and it looks like a pattern, repeating pattern, but once you turn it on, have a look at it right now. It's all so equal. Now there are some colors that seem like they're repeating. You can also fix that if you want to by creating one more layer, and let us name this color. Change the blend mode from normal to color. Take the brush, this time flow at around 5 to 10%. Take a sample of a nearby color. For example, this brick is kind of standing out. So I'm going to take a sample of this color and just paint over that brick. And even that is fixed. It is just crazy. Now, when you look at it from this view, you just cannot tell that this is a pattern. This is so darn good. Now, don't you finally think it is the perfect time to turn this into a pattern? So let's do it. By the way, you don't have to be inside of pattern preview. So you can turn it off, keep it on, up to you. Go to view, pattern preview. I'm just going to turn it off. Now let's go to edit, define pattern. That is it. Let us name this stone wall, hit OK. Now it's saved as a pattern. Now let's apply it. Let's come to this image and we want to apply this pattern in the background just as a texture. For it, let us first make a selection of the subject by selecting any of these three tools, the object selection, quick selection or the magic wand tool, and then at the top click on select subject. Now we want the new pattern to be in the background, not on the subject. So let's invert the selection by pressing Ctrl Shift I. Command Shift I on a Mac. Now with the selection active, click on the adjustment layer icon and then go to pattern right here. And in here, we're going to choose our pattern from the drop down. This is the pattern that we just created and you can change the scaling from here. Let's change it to 50 first, or let's keep it at 60. And now the great part about pattern is that you can just move it around. This is just crazy. It is seamless. You cannot tell where the seam is, where the line that joins the two image is. You cannot tell. Hit OK. And let's change the blend mode to something like multiply. And there you go. Fantastic, isn't it? And again, the best part, if you double click on the symbol of the adjustment layer, you can move it around as much as you want. By the way, to add more shine to it, just simply make a copy of it by pressing Ctrl or Command J and then change the blend mode of this one to screen. Screen is for brightening and we want it in the highlights. So double click on the right hand side of the layer, take it away from the dark areas by taking the slider of the underlying layer from left to right, like so. But then again, this is harsh. So hold the Alt key or the Option key, click on the slider to break it apart, make the transition smoother, like so. There you go. This is also something you can consider doing. Fantastic. Fun. If you want to learn more about BlendIf, there is a complete guide right here, but this video was about creating a seamless pattern. Seamless meaning where you cannot see the line which joins the two images. Now you can remove the edges using a variety of techniques. Content aware fill, remove tool, clone stamp tool. I chose to use generative fill. And even then, there were some areas that didn't look right. We fixed those, repaired those, and we merged the entire thing. And we then offset it again. We inspected it to find little areas that were a little off. So here's the before, as you can see. This area was a little off. There was that line, we removed that. And there was one more area which we fixed as well. There you go. We could see the line right here. Here's the after. That was from the previous repair. And on top of that, when you turn this into a pattern, there's going to be certain patches of brightness and shadows, which is going to give it a telltale sign that this is a pattern. And we removed that as well. For that, you need to make sure you have pattern preview turned on. And when you zoom out, you can see those patches. So with dodging and burning, we removed that. Once we removed that, there was this colored brick that was just standing out. So we fixed the color of that as well. So that's how to create a flawless, seamless pattern in Photoshop. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe. Ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss any other future tips, tricks, or tutorials. I would like to take this moment to thank all of these nice and amazing people for supporting PiXimperfect on Patreon and making videos like this possible. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.